From making spin-off movies off the John Wick universe to let another character like Akira take over the mantle of Baba Yaga, there have been a lot of questions about how John Wick Chapter 5 will work without Keanu, especially after Chapter 4's final scene. So we've all heard the rumor going around that Keanu signed on for a 5-movie contract, and after the 4th, he would immediately start working on the 5th. Now that's all well and good, but how does that work if John Wick is dead? That's right, the finale of the last movie wasn't something anyone was expecting. Baba Yaga's showdown with the legendary Kane, played by the even more legendary Donnie Yen, ended kind of miserably. He was seriously injured and shot like 1,000 times, but he's gotten through worse, right? Things didn't seem to get better for him as he looked more and more at peace with every passing second. It was kinda weird, since that was the first time in the entire franchise that we saw Wick looking almost at peace.
Welcome to Casablanca, Mr. Wick.
Thanks.
And I mean, it makes sense. I think he realized in those last few moments that he was about to be with his wife again. Like, let the man rest. I was sitting there expecting that he'd get up any second now, but my wish never came true, and the scene cut to black before panning over a graveyard. The Bowery King was standing over 2 graves with John's dog, and as the camera moved in closer, I realized that it was actually Wick's grave next to his wife. He had finally gotten the rest he deserved. I never thought I'd see the day. Of course, every action movie has had this trope. They show the main hero has died, but 2 minutes later, he's standing in the distance, brooding under the rain. But nothing like that happened. I felt like I was still waiting on a scene like that when the credits started to roll. I just couldn't believe my eyes. And that's when it hit. John Wick was really dead. So how is Chapter 5 even going to happen? Well, don't worry. Chad Stahelski has a game plan. First off, Kane needed to be dealt with. That just had to be wrapped up, otherwise I would have lost it. And who better to do that than Akira, masterfully played by Rina Sawayama. We see Kane rushing to get to his daughter's violin recital, but Akira emerges from the shadows with a knife in her hands, and bam, fade to black. She most likely got her revenge for him killing her father, and could end up being the next main protagonist. What this scene did was show that vengeance is still alive in the Wick universe. Even though Keanu's character might be dead, there are still some pretty decent assassins out there who are willing to take up the mantle of Baba Yaga, and the most likely scenario is that Wick is going to only appear for a couple of flashback scenes. So we'll probably still get to see him in Chapter 5, but not really. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen eventually. The man is in his 60s. He had to retire from action roles sooner or later, right? I think it's actually good that the directors didn't stretch him out for another 10 movies or something. At least this way his legacy lives on undisturbed. And he'll be remembered as the greatest assassin to ever walk the earth. But that doesn't mean there aren't folks gunning for his spot. There's another contender looking to fill the Wick-shaped hole in our hearts, and it's Tracker. Shamir Anderson played Mr. Nobody, and it didn't take him long to become a hit with the fans. I mean, what was there to hate about him? He was a dog-loving hired assassin with the bounty on Wick's head. My favorite kind. He was smart and grounded, unlike most of the assassins going against Wick. He didn't have any drug empire money behind him, and felt like a very relatable guy just entering the absolutely insane world of the underground hitmen. There has been some speculation that Tracker could be the new protagonist for future John Wick movies. And while I don't have any concrete information on that, it's definitely an interesting idea. Anderson certainly has the talent and star power to carry a franchise like John Wick, plus he had great chemistry with Keanu Reeves. So it would be exciting exciting to see what happens to him afterward. He was kind of the antithesis of the entire John Wick persona. He literally made me realize, why the hell is he wearing a suit during a firefight? The tracker was the closest thing to a normal dude in the Wickverse. This is why it feels like his character would do really well in carrying the next movie. I mean, it certainly helps that Shamir Anderson knows martial arts. He'll fit right in. But don't worry too much. He can't ever completely replace Wick. We could still see Keanu make a small comeback in one of the many spin-offs planned for the universe. First off, let's talk about the Continental.
John Wick, excommunicado. In effect, 1 minute.
This is a TV series that's been in development for a while now, and it's set to explore the world of the Assassin's Hotel, which has been a key part of the John Wick franchise. The series will reportedly be a prequel set years before the events of the movies, and will follow a young Winston as he rises to power at the Continental. Now, I don't know too much about the plot of the Continental, but it's safe to assume that we'll see plenty of assassins, double crosses, and action-packed set pieces. And while Keanu Reeves may not be the star of the show, we could see some cameos or references to his character. But that's not all. There's also been news of a spin-off movie centered around the character of Ballerina, who was introduced in John Wick 3 Parabellum. Ana de Armas will play the deadly assassin who works at a ballet school, and she proved to be a fan favorite in her brief appearance in the movie. It's unclear whether this spin-off will be a prequel or a sequel, but either way, we can expect to see some incredible action scenes and a fresh perspective on the John Wick universe. Speaking of the universe, there's been talk of a potential John Wick 5. Now, it's still unclear if it's going to continue the story of our favorite hitman, but we can assume that it'll be just as action-packed and intense as the previous movies. And who knows, Keanu might change his mind. But I'm calling it right now. Director Chad Stahelski is going to give him a hiatus of a couple of years and then bring him back as an older and wiser Baba Yaga. That would be so epic to watch, and would definitely break all box office records. John Wick is Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves is John Wick. It's as simple as that. No one else could bring the same level of intensity and coolness to the character as Keanu does. Another possibility is that this entire thing could be a very elaborate cover story. I mean, John had to get away from the high table somehow, right? Maybe he faked his death in order to finally live a peaceful life. And some of the supporting characters probably helped him, like the Bowery King. So for John Wick 5, he might have to come out of retirement for the final time. Maybe this time he could team up with Tracker, Bowery King, and Akira, sort of like an endgame level event. Well, that's all for how Chapter 5 will work without Keanu.